Story 1. The Echoes and the Forgotten Factory. I pushed open the rusted door of the old textile mill, the screech of metal on metal slicing through the night like a warning I chose to ignore. The air inside was thick, stale with the scent of decay and machine oil that hadn't been used in decades. My flashlight beam cut through the darkness, illuminating dust motes dancing like ghosts in the void. I'd heard stories about this place, urban legends of workers who vanished during the factory's final shift in the 80s. But as an explorer with a camera strapped to my chest, I thrived on the thrill. Little did I know the echoes here weren't just from the past, they were calling me in. The floorboards creaked under my boots as I ventured deeper, past looming looms draped in cobwebs. My breath fogged in the chill, even though it was a humid summer night outside. I whispered into my recorder. Entry log, Midland Mill, midnight. No signs of squatters yet. A faint clatter echoed from the far end of the hall, maybe a rat or the building settling. I shrugged it off, my heart quickening with that familiar adrenaline rush. But as I rounded a corner into the weaving room, the beam caught something odd, a single spindle whirring slowly, threads unraveling as if guided by invisible hands. I froze, the hairs on my neck standing up. Hello? My voice bounced off the walls, distorting into a chorus of whispers that sounded like my own but weren't. The spindle stopped abruptly, shaking it off as a trick of the wind. I pressed on, climbing a rickety staircase to the upper levels, where the offices once buzzed with life. Up here, the air grew heavier, laced with a metallic tang that made my stomach churn. Old desks were scattered, papers yellowed and brittle, detailing worker complaints. Machines won't stop at night. One read, voices in the vents. A soft hum started then, vibrating through the floor. I spun around, flashlight sweeping wildly. Nothing, but the hum grew, morphing into rhythmic thuds, like footsteps marching in unison. My pulse raced as I backed toward the stairs, but the door at the bottom slammed shut with a force that rattled the entire frame. Panic set in. I tugged at it, but it wouldn't budge. The thuds drew closer, now accompanied by faint murmurs. Names, dates, pleas for help. Accident, trapped, join us. I bolted up another flight, heart pounding in my ears, the murmurs swelling into screams that clawed at my sanity. In the manager's office, I barricaded the door with a desk, gasping for air. That's when I saw it in the corner. A mirror, cracked but reflective. My face stared back, but behind me, shadowy figures loomed. Workers in tattered uniforms, eyes hollow, skin pale as the dust. They weren't reflections. They were pressing against the glass from the other side. The barricade shuddered as something, or many things, pounded from outside. I smashed the window with my elbow, glass shattering like brittle bones, and leapt onto the fire escape. As I descended, the screams faded, but one voice lingered in my mind. You'll come back. They always do. I never return to that mill, but sometimes at night I hear the spindles whirring in my dreams, pulling me back into the weave. Story 2. The labyrinth beneath the city. The manhole cover grated against the concrete as I lifted it, revealing a yawning blackness that swallowed the city's neon glow above. I'd mapped this section of the old subway tunnels for weeks, forgotten lines abandoned after a collapse in the 50s, ripe for exploration. Armed with a headlamp and a backpack of supplies, I descended the ladder, the clang of my boots echoing into the abyss. The air was dank, heavy with mold and the faint rot of something long dead. This is it, I muttered to myself, excitement masking the unease prickling my skin. Urban legends spoke of the lost ones down here, but I dismissed them as tales to scare off amateurs. The tunnels stretched endlessly, walls slick with graffiti from explorers past. Some faded warnings. Turn back, scrawled in what looked like frantic haste. My light pierced the gloom, revealing rusted tracks curving into darkness. A distant drip echoed like a heartbeat, steady and unnerving. I followed the main line, snapping photos of derelict platforms where phantom trains seemed to whisper through the stale wind. But as I delved deeper, the drip grew erratic, almost purposeful, like fingers tapping impatiently. Then a scuffle, small feet pattering ahead. Rats, I thought, but the sound multiplied, circling me. My headlamp flickered, casting erratic shadows that danced like living things. I quickened my pace, heart thudding, only to hit a dead end, a collapsed wall blocking the path. Panic flickered. I hadn't mapped this. Turning back, I noticed the graffiti had changed. Fresh marks now read my name, over and over, as if etched while I wasn't looking. The pattering returned, closer, accompanied by low giggles that sent ice through my veins. I ran, beam bouncing wildly, but the tunnels twisted unnaturally, looping back on themselves. Exhaustion set in, my breaths ragged, the air thickening with a foul, earthy stench. In a side chamber, I collapsed against the wall, and that's when I saw them. Eyes glinting in the dark, small forms huddled. Children? No, not quite. Not. Their limbs were too long, skin pallid and stretched, faces twisted in perpetual grins. They emerged slowly, whispering fragments of conversations I'd had above ground, mimicking voices of friends I'd lost touch with. "Stay with us," one crooned, its voice a child's but laced with ancient malice. I scrambled away, but they blocked every exit, their giggles swelling into a cacophony that drilled into my skull. In desperation, I ignited a flare from my pack, the burst of light revealing their true forms, elongated horrors, remnants of those trapped in the collapse, warped by decades in the dark. The flare bought me time. I fled through a narrow vent, scraping my skin raw, emerging into the night air gasping. But as I sealed the manhole, a tiny handprint appeared on the inside of the cover, warm to the touch. Now every time I hear dripping faucets or see shadows in subways, I wonder if they're still calling my name from below.